What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you my Brawler build for Wasteland 3. So, Brawler is specifically going to be using fist weapons, focusing on the melee portion of combat. Jumping right into it, we're not going to carry too much on about the appearance stuff, but when we're making our character, when we're choosing our background, the main two I would recommend are either Bookworm or Lethal Weapon. Bookworm is kind of a generic across-the-board one that gives you some extra experience. Lethal Weapon gives us a 10% melee damage bonus, which for a build that is focusing on melee damage is basically a flat 10% damage boost, which is very good. Now, from there, our starting weapon should of course be a brawling weapon, as this is basically a fist weapon as opposed to like a blunt weapon or say like a sword or something. Basically fist weapons. Attributes. Now, in all of my build videos, I do go over this very quickly. If you want to level up extremely fast, you will have enough points right at the beginning of the game in character creation to basically max out just about one of these attributes. So if you want to level up really quickly, you can level up Charisma all the way to max, which is 10, of course. And then it gives us a 30% experience bonus. If you combine that with Bookworm and one of the Ranger badges, you can get a collective like 40% extra experience, and that character will level very quickly. Personally, I don't like doing this. I don't find it fun, but it is an option. In addition to the experience, it will also increase your strike rate, which increases your charge abilities, which I'll go over later because the Brawler actually has a very important one. That said, the main thing we're going to want to focus on is strength, because that is where our damage bonus is going to come from. In addition to giving us more melee damage, it actually gives us more health and more health per level, as well as giving us extra throwing range and able to equip items that require strength, which up to this point, the builds I've made haven't had. So extra strength is going to allow us to equip better armors that are more suited to close range combat. So we're going to want to max that out. The second thing I want to max out is actually speed. So speed is actually pretty important for a brawler character because you can only really hit in melee range outside of like throwing something. So you need to be able to move very quickly. Speed is going to let us move across the battlefield to cover that distance for as little AP as possible. So after strength is maxed out, I recommend putting it all in speed. Now from here, we're going to go coordination. Coordination is going to give us extra action points per turn, extra action points max, as well as extra status effect resistance up to 35% and 5 on the action points. Any points you have left at this point, you should throw into luck. Luck will give us extra everything basically. Extra actions, extra crit chance, extra mega crit chance, extra heal chances, all of that stuff. So as many points as you can get into luck, the better. And this is probably the character that benefits, that I've made so far, the best from extra luck, because when you get lucky actions, which is a refund on your action points, you get, say, extra attacks if you're standing right next to an enemy. And, spoiler alert, when we get to the skills, I'm going to show you that with brawling weapons, you can actually bring your action point cost down to 1 to attack. That brings us to our skills. Real talk, the only thing you really need to do to make this effective is brawling all the way maxed out. That's going to give us extra combat speed as well as our brawling weapon hit chance. Brawling is literally all you need to make this work. It's going to give us the perks we need to do. So from here, what I recommend you do is honestly just like role playing, like just whatever you want this character to do. Personally, I like to pick up hard ass, which is a type of persuasion check. I feel like that fits the character very well. Leadership is also another good one if you don't have one in your party already, as leadership will give your nearby allies extra hit chance as well as extra damage or crit chance, things like that. So also a worthwhile one if you want to roleplay it a little bit. But in terms of being effective in combat, all you really need is brawling. Sometimes I like to do weird science, not so much for the damage, but some of the more interesting high strength requirement armors have a weird science requirement, so you might also consider that one. Explosives is fun because you can throw stuff, of course, which might help you as well. But all you need to do, really, is just the brawling ability. Feel free to roleplay with it and kind of just see what you enjoy, really. Now, as for quirks, I don't really recommend any of them. There's some that wouldn't necessarily be terrible for this, but none that I personally would like to choose for this build, as opposed to like a sniper build where I really enjoy serial killer. Personally, I don't think quirks suit this particular build very well, so there you go. And that brings us to perks. So, Brawling, like I said, is the only tree we really need to be effective in combat, so that's the stuff I'm going to cover. If you pick up any other skills for role-playing, like, feel free to use those perks as you will, but I'm going to go over the important ones for this. So, Shaolin Surprise is very good. So, every time you hit somebody with a Brawling attack, it builds combo points, and the higher they are, the more damage and things like that you will do. Well, Shaolin Surprise allows you to spin those points, and for every 1 combo point spent, you get a +2 armor penetration and +10 damage use, but it does reset the combo meter. And if you happen to have picked up leadership like I recommended, and you use the demoralize ability first, Shaolin Surprise will actually deal double damage to demoralized targets. So that can be a pretty effective combo. Extreme Combo will actually bring the maximum Brawling combo up to 10 as opposed to 5. And Deadly Combo will give you the extra critical chance from the Brawling combo. It doubles it, basically. And then the most important one is Flurry of Blows. This will reduce the AP cost of our Brawling attacks by 1. Now, depending on which weapon you're using, this can change. But the one I would recommend, this perk right here, will actually bring your AP cost to attack down to a single AP, which is amazing. Pretty much every perk on the Brawling tree is effective. Now, the general perks that you can pick up, Hardened is okay, like extra armor never hurt this build at all. Healthy is not bad, extra health is always good. Extra evasion through quick reflexes is good, as well as weathered being pretty good with crit resistance. So these 4 right here are all pretty good. If you happen to just have extra perk points to spend on something, they're not bad. So from there, let's talk weapons. Now, there is really only one weapon I recommend using with a Brawler, and that is the Power Gauntlet. The Power Gauntlet is a Power Fist, basically. So the base damage it has the most. You can also modify it for more and make it do different things, but it's pretty much the best as far as the Brawling weapons go. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the AP cost is 2, which combined with our perk earlier brings the AP cost to attack down to a single point. Now, you might think that this is a late game weapon, being pretty much the best Brawling weapon in the game. However, early in the game, you will be contacted at your Rager HQ by a woman named La Perla who asks you to recover a runaway slave for her because she is a slaver. And while that might be morally questionable, if you choose to go ahead and do it, she will give you codes to a room in your Ranger HQ, and one of the chests that you open up if you choose to help La Perla always has a Power Gauntlet in it. Every single time I've opened it at any stage in the game, it has this Power Gauntlet in it. So just keep that in mind. You can get this very early in that case. Now, in terms of armor, there are 2 I would recommend, really. The Verkiten armor is pretty much the best stuff. So, the Verkiten armor is done by doing the Toaster Expert achievement. I will leave a link to a guide down below explaining exactly how to pick it up. But the Verkiten armor is unique, it looks crazy, and also has the highest stats in the game as far as strength melee armor goes. It gives you the most armor, it gives you resistances to various damage, and the legs give you some evasion. And you can also modify this to give you even more if you wanted. So, raw stat-wise, this is the best. However, you might want to use something like, say, the exoskeleton set that you can pick up, because the chest piece gives you the earthquake ability, which will let you stun nearby targets for 4 AP. So stuff like that is cool. And the exoskeleton armor also actually gives you extra melee damage bonus. So because of that, you might want to use that, but it does require 3 weird science in addition to the strength requirement. But other than that, it is a pretty fun armor type as well. So personally, in-game, I would choose one of those 2, and until you get to that point, pretty much just use the highest armor stuff you can find, which is usually going to have a strength requirement, which you should easily meet with this particular build. So that's all well and good, but how does it actually play in combat? Alrighty, so using the Brawler in combat is pretty simple. So obviously we're going to be doing melee damage, which requires us to be pretty close to our targets. Okay, so the main thing that I want to mention in combat with the Brawler is that if you see this blue line, that is everywhere I can move and still have the AP to attack, which because of our skill choices, I can move incredibly far. Our incredibly low cost AP to actually attack something, we can move very, very far and still hit. As a melee character, that's going to help us close ground a ton. So in addition to that, there are these things called strike attacks or precision strikes or charge abilities. You might hear them called any of those things. But the Brawlers is actually very good. So what this attack is actually changes on the character's weapon attack. So if I were doing this with my sniper build over here, it would be a precision strike, in which case I would be able to target like a body part or do something like that. However, for the Brawling weapon, it is what is called Thundering Strike. For the same cost as attacking, which is 1 AP, I will jump up and slam the ground, sending out a stunning shockwave to everyone around me. So for 1 AP, I will do a damaging attack to everyone around me, as well as stun all of them. Stunning is basically the only status effect in Wasteland 3 that takes enemies' turns away from them next turn. So this ability right here is amazing just in and of itself. And it's so good actually that it's pretty much all that saves the Brawler build early game. So real talk, Brawlers in the early game kind of suck because you don't get the AP reduction, you won't be able to move quite as far as I'm showing you here. However, you will have this Thundering Strike ability. So early game, this is probably the only thing that basically gives you a reason to have a Brawler in your party, because early game they are not good. They do not come into their own until like the last third of the game, and that's when they really start to shine. So for 1 AP, I can hit this guy. Our luck just gave us a lucky critical. We can actually get action points back. See, I attacked 3 times, but I've only used 2 AP. I can move all the way over here. I can hit this guy. And we can keep doing this. And because we get so many attacks per turn, you'll actually be getting your charge ability pretty regularly, as long as you can actually hit anything. So the most hits I've ever gotten with my Brawler character in 1 turn has been about 20, despite only having 11 action points, because you get those lucky actions and it refunds the action point and you can swing again. And then like I said, the Thundering Strike will allow you to stun enemies, and overall it's a really fun build. But again, early game it definitely sucks. It doesn't come into its own until like the last third of the game. And until then, Thundering Strikes is like the main thing you want to be trying to do with the build up until the late game when it actually starts being more effective to use. There you go, guys. That is pretty much all I've got for you with this build. I certainly hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. But thank you so much for watching. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.